Hot Ones challenge.
Oh, the wings, the sauce.
Yeah, I used cauliflower bites. Finished it no less than 30 minutes ago, an hour ago. And it feels like someone has shrunk down to miniature size and brought along with them a flamethrower. And it's just coating my stomach walls as I am speaking into the microphone right now.
You know the best part of that challenge? You get to do it twice.
You get to do it the next day in one end and out the other.
See which one's worse. Right in.
Which one's worse? Right in. The mouth.
Yeah.
But I've done it twice so far, so I need to take a breather. It's fun. You get to socialize, get to do it with friends, family. And
wow. How many sauces is it?
10. I made it through all 10 both times. And did the last dab too. People will know what I'm talking about, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
the last dab.
So
which was the most painful?
Number 8's always the worst in my opinion. The bomb. They put it in every kit. And then your mouth is numb, so 9 is just whatever. And then 10 is horrendous as well. So.
Why?
I don't know. It's fun. You made it through. That's a good question. Why would you do something like that? I don't know. Makes you feel alive. Why do people go on roller coasters? Why do people like scary movies? I don't get that. Like, I don't want the pants to be scared off me watching movies.
Speaking of scary movie, that's more real than scary because it's a real story, is the Society of Snow. I just saw that. It's on Netflix. It's about the Uruguayan rugby team that their plane crashed in the Andes in the 70s.
They had to like eat each other by the end.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, the cinematography was amazing. Like you just really felt like you were in that movie.
Do you think you could photograph, like if you were in theory invisible and in that scene, that scenario, do you think you could photograph and document it as a journalist, photojournalist?
That was one of the parts of the movie. A guy he kept taking pictures and they were like, dude, like we are miserable, basically. We've been here. Why are you taking pictures of everything? I think it was like I want to share with my whomever or family. He was like asking people to smile and like still pose for photos. So that was part of it.
People in the background like eating their deceased friend. It's insane.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I guess it's historical, so it could be already ruined.
Yeah, there's no spoiler alerts.
Yeah, there's no spoiler.
In the 70s.
Yeah. It's just an incredible story of endurance and then like societal norms and then what morals become okay. He was
think about that a lot, like right and wrong. Who's to say? You ever think about this?
Yeah, and then you develop new rules based on the scenarios of what's okay. So like eating your friends that died naturally, that's okay. Killing them to eat, that wasn't okay.
Yeah.
Knowing who you're eating wasn't okay. So they would shift off jobs of like, we're getting gruesome here. Welcome to 2025. But like the butchers would go hide and then mix up the meat. So you had no clue what you were or who you were eating. And it messed with people. And they do a good job of like,
I shall watch
showing this movie. And then, yeah, they had a radio that had incoming service. So they were able to hear like the search party's over. It's done. We're bringing the planes back. We've spent 10 days looking. We assume they're all dead. So like you hear that news and then you're still out there. And it's just like, it was tough.
How do you continue when there's no hope? You ever been in a scenario like that? Or close to it? Well, not to that degree.
No, not to that degree. I can't say. I've been in horrible turbulence, which is not the same thing, but in the moment, God, like horrible turbulence, like, dropping hundreds of feet. And
we all know that you don't. Yeah. Well, maybe people don't know. Aaron doesn't like flying.
I don't mind anymore. I kind of got over that. But as in my...
the Alaska float plane just was maximum exposure therapy from our retreat.
It was.
I remember taking off and looking at you. And I was like,
You see a
You
single
just
tear?
a single tear down the cheek. It was poetic
Like
as we took
this.
off to go photograph bears,
Well, I
and I
did
was
have
like,
a moment there that, like, that you have to admit that whole scenario felt forced. Like, it felt like we didn't really look into this much. Like, this is all happening very fast because our boat got canceled. So we needed to take a plane, and it was all very last minute. Like, are we going to take off because the weather's kind of bad? First of all, in this plane with this pilot that had braces, like
"He's
nothing
a young
against
fellow."
people with braces, but just like that's the scene that you're like stepping into this sardine can with a lot of other people. Like rain is coming through the windows, and we're taking off on a water runway and flying into a storm to land with 30 bears also. So
Yeah, well, what was worse was when we were leaving, the fog was rolling in, and then all the planes are leaving, and we're still in the boat waiting for our guy to come, and
waiting
our guy in
and
the
waiting.
fishing boat, "Yeah, this is about the time everybody starts taking off, weather starts getting bad," and we're like, "Dude, your bedside manner is probably the worst."
Yeah, he's
Uh,
like, we don't have any way to call. There's no contact. We've slept out here before. We could do it again. We're like, what, guy?
well, if we haven't totally scared you off, we're we're alive, so
Yeah,
we're, uh, we're going back.
we're going back.
Official announcement, we're going back to Alaska 2025 in July.
2.0.
It will be our 4th TPM annual photography retreat. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are like, when were they going to announce this? Today is the day. And the official launch where you can book a deposit, will be on our website on January 13th. Turn notifications on socials too, because we'll put it on there on our Instagram. You can check out the itinerary, and I'm hoping it books up fast because last year was super fun. We put a lot of care into it, despite Aaron's telling of the plane story. It was
Still great.
he's being it's a lot of satire. It was planned, despite our short time frame from having our boat canceled, but it all worked out. Everyone had a really good time. Insane footage, insane video. So we're gonna go back and be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, and I think when Seth and I were talking about where we're going to go next year, we've gone to a different place every year. I think it
Mhm.
was pretty clear. We were like, why
There's
would
things to see.
you why
Yeah.
would you ever go? I mean, there's lots of places to go, don't get me wrong, but we just felt like we have to hit that again. There was so
Yeah.
much to see and do, and landscape wise, wonderful. Wildlife photography, wonderful. Daylight, wonderful.
We saw
And then there's
orcas,
orcas, bear,
eagle,
bald eagles, sea otters,
seals, harbor seals,
moose, baby moose. A lot. Just a lot.
wildflowers. Then the sun was down for like what, 2 hours, 3 hours a day?
Yeah, so every day is like 2 days. You just get a lot. You get a lot for your money, I gotta say.
You haven't been sold. There's all the adjectives and descriptions. Check it out on the 13th on our website. It'll be fun.
Yeah, reach out if you have any questions or interests or wanna know more. Love to have a conversation with you, but yeah, all the info will be out on the 13th.
Yeah.
Some teasers in between.
Cool. I like it. This is our first time really chatting since the holidays
Mhm.
finished. Today is January 2nd. We're recording this. And we've been out of touch in a nice way. We've given each other the space we needed in this relationship. And
Yeah.
we weren't insecure about where we stood with one another.
Speak for yourself, I was crying every night.
He won't get back to me.
He won't write me.
So
No, yeah, it's holidays, and we need breaks sometimes. You need to breathe. That's
yeah.
kind of a built-in one. Like, let's just go do our thing for a
Holidays
couple.
frustrate me though a little bit because I can unwind, but also I still want to get stuff done. But when you rely on responses of other people, you know they're off, rightfully
Yeah,
so. But you're like, oh, you almost get forced to.
wait.
You get forced to wait. Yeah,
I had an invoice that was due or like giving out, and I was like, this is just gonna be frustrating if I give this out a couple days before this break, and then so I just held it myself, let everyone come back and be like, all right, now we're ready to rock. you know?
Yeah. Well, since we haven't really texted or chatted much, I asked you a question before we started. And, well, first of all, I said, how can we be different this year? When it's episodes with just you and I or with guests, we're going to have more guests coming on, of course. If you're people who prefer those as opposed to just Aaron and I, don't worry. We're going to have a big roster of guests coming on. But I asked you, how can we shake things up a little bit in 2025? How can we be different? How can we take some chances with the show, with our own practice? Um, it's not a question for you to answer. Just I think that's something I'm keeping in mind. How can I, in a smart way, take more chances and think more outside of the box and do more creative things and avoid kind of getting stuck in a lane, maybe a lane that's working for you, but is maybe becoming too routine. And we said we're just gonna kind of chill today. We're feeling very mellow. And I asked you kind of just like, where's your head at with photography, with all this and your camera, as someone who's been doing it for a while. And based on your answer, if there's a lot of people listening, I'm sure there are who are looking for new podcasts because they're interested in photography this year, lots of resolution type stuff, which is great. Don't ever shame people for their resolutions. I think it's awesome that people are interested in getting curious about things. Where are you kind of at? And maybe tell it in a way that's helpful for some newer folk.
Yeah, I where am I at in 2025 when I really started pushing hard in 2019, the end of, so let's call it 5 years, and some. Um, I I think I'm at a crossroads, to be honest.
Okay.
I think there's gonna be some overlap, and I think I'm gonna settle into through 2025 how I really want to utilize and practice this skill. With ebbs and flows, I'm sure there's going to be ups and downs, but you can look back. You can look back at your own. You can look back at your own social media. You could look back at what you were doing 5 years ago, and kind of be like, no, that wasn't me. Like I was pushing something or trying something. Again, all good things. I think it's really good, that early stage of creation and like figuring out what sticks and what you like and doing all these things. But I think it's only natural to come to a point where you're like, I don't really enjoy doing that. I don't really love doing that. I was doing that for different reasons. I was doing that for a
Ooh,
following. I was
I
doing
like this.
that for a girl's attention. I was doing that for to look like a good dad, like whatever it could be.
Ooh, I like this. I like this. Or I know you're just giving examples that could fit anybody. Are
Mhm.
there some things you feel like you look back and you think you're not regretful, right? But you're like,
No.
That was not being done the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not me." It's incredible how hard it is to be yourself. Does that make sense? It can be it's it's weird how you almost have to try hard to be you. And I feel like as you come into
Yeah.
who you normally are through self-exploration, whatever way that is, whether that's through your art or pick anything, I think it's
Mhm.
so, I'm gonna be corny, like, beautiful, right? And freeing.
Yeah, I agree. It's very hard to be truly just who you are in anything, in a relationship, in your representation of yourself. It's like you have this idea of who you are. You have which is essentially your ego, the story that which you tell yourself of who you are. And then you have that story and you try to display it. And sometimes it gets lost in translation, that display of your ego.
Mm,
And personal examples, I look back when I was doing like the Instagram live stuff and like doing musical interludes and doing songs and song and dance, literally, not dance, but look at, I can play guitar. I want to show the world. Like that kind of stuff was forced attention seeking stuff. And at the time seemed like a good idea. But now looking back on it is like, that's not entirely who I am or who I was in that moment. It's sort of like that stuff went away. And it's one thing if I stuck with it, or if you play music and you want to show it, if you do anything and you want to show it and you're consistently that's you and that's what you want to do. Like I'm all for everyone being and doing whatever they want to do.
Mm.
I think sometimes, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, we do a lot of things for other reasons than like we truly want to do them. We're like searching. It's like a searching thing. And you see it a lot. I feel like, and this is where I'm getting a little tired of social media in certain ways. And we've talked about it all the time, but like I'm also I'm also older. I've also lived without it. Like it sometimes it becomes very apparent like I say this a lot, like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Like it just doesn't seem, and we've heard all the quotes, like the more curated your social media is, maybe the less happy you are in real life, and all the memes and things like that. It's a highlight reel. It's this, it's that, it's the other. Like sometimes it's just like, God, it's like a lot. It's just a lot. And I'm on there far too much. I'm ingesting far too much of it. I know that from 2024. And the last thing like I've created was a complete satire of how I feel about the whole thing. I haven't posted it yet. It's done, but it's like a satire of like this is wildlife photography, and it's complete just videos of yourself, which is ironic and funny. Like modern wildlife photography is autobiographical narratives of self-portrait videography.
Hmm.
A lot of the time. Not everyone. It's just rare that anyone gets attention now for just posting photos of birds or this or that. And that's it. You have to play the game if you want that result, and that's fine. But I think it's taking us away from the thing that we love.
Yeah.
And that's what's somewhat like frustrating, and one of those moments where maybe I'm catching it early where it's like, oh, don't look back on this and be like, that was like, what were you doing? Like all these reels about, whatever your experience,
Mm.
and taking away from just going out there. I took my camera down to the shoreline on New Year's Day. Uh, I didn't see much. I took some pictures of seagulls, and to be honest, it was really fun
Yeah.
and it
That's
was
awesome.
nice. It
I
was cold. It was windy. I was outside, but it was the first time like, oh, I'm doing the craft, and I don't have to post these because you know what? It doesn't matter. It's not, it's not like it used to be, like on a timeline and like trying to get certain amount of likes. And it's like, this was just fun to be here. This is why I like it. I like being outside. I like the nature. I like seeing a seagull pick up a little snail and drop it and try to break it open. That's interesting, you know? Like
Yeah.
over and over. That was fun. Let me try to catch the photo of it dropping it right away. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is challenging.
Yeah.
That's what's fun.
It's funny you say that. I looked at my camera the other day and it had dust on it.
Wow.
And I was
Wow.
like, what's going on? It had
Yeah.
dust on it, man. And I was like, to your point, there's not a what happened moment, because I feel like as you scale and the podcast that we've built around photography, there's a lot of other things calling. You can't be shooting all the time. I mean, you can, but for what I'm trying to do or what you're trying to do, there is a lot of email. There's a lot of this and that. And it had just been a while, and I looked at it and I was like, that needs a Swiffer.
Yeah.
And so I haven't shot yet, but last night I took 2 hours and I just edited in Lightroom, and
Oh,
I was
nice.
having so much fun. I edited some photos of a fox from a few weeks ago. People are mad at me, like, "You didn't edit a fox right away?"
Uh-huh.
No, and it was just so awesome. And another thing I've been thinking about is the concept of that. Well, another thing I've been trying to do, or I plan to do, and I'm going to keep in the forefront of my brain throughout this entire year, because I do this every year. I pick like a theme, is essentialism, which sort of ties into minimalism, but more in the sense of, is this essential to what I'm trying to do? Absolutely necessary. And if it's not a hell yeah that I want to do this thing, I'm just going to say no to myself or to other people in a way to better refine what's important to me. And so I've been enjoying that. I've been doing this thing now for the last couple weeks where I'm doing, one project a day, working on an essential project for 2 to 3 hours. And then I'll do two other tasks that are urgent and important. And then three other maintenance tasks, sending an email, stretching, doing the dishes. And like, that's my day where it's productive. And now the rest is fun, fulfilling things that I'm excited to do. Whether that is more work or whether it's like a board game with family or friends, and just getting into the habit of not trying to take bite-sized pieces out of everything and then getting absolutely nothing done and not enjoying and having fun. It's I believe it's called the 1-2-3 method by Greg McEwen. And it's been cool. As opposed
Nice.
to, I used to have a to-do list with, tons of stuff on it. And you feel like you're getting all these things done. And I'm coming to the realization, this is another theme moving forward, that busy is not productive.
Yeah.
And just trying to dig in more deeply into less things and being satisfied with that.
Yeah, I like that, and I touched on that, I think it was last week, in terms of picking projects
Mhm.
and just really finding my people, finding where it
Yeah.
is I want to be spending my time working. Like, I agree. I mean, our time, everyone's time is, again, an incredible asset, like our time on earth, right? I don't wanna be spending it fighting about invoices or money or work or anything, like, having hassles. And you learn the hard way sometimes. And I'm gonna take those lessons in the last 4 years and apply them to trusting my gut, feeling red flags, feeling things that, like, I
Yeah.
think we're not a great match. Like, then that's okay. Let's I'm gonna go our separate ways. No hard feelings. This is not gonna work out in a nice way, of course.
Mhm.
But I think that's gonna save a lot of hassle, you know. And
Yeah.
I really want to go through. I want to gain back time to have those moments to go down to the shore and take photos of birds or wait in the woods every once in a while. That my wildlife time and nature time last year, Alaska was amazing. There are
Mhm.
a few other trips, but there's
Yeah.
things I didn't do that have done every year. I've taken my kayak out. I've had a really nice kayak, at least 2 sunrises every single year since I've been in photography, which is kind of a pain in the butt to put it on the car, strap it all in, go down before sunrise, get out there, get to a spot, and enjoy the sunrise.
Mhm.
Worth it, but a pain in the butt. And I did not do that once this year. And
Mhm.
that struck me as I was cleaning out the garage and I saw that kayak, just like you had dust on the thing. I was like, damn, This expensive kayak, I didn't feel like I had the time or the energy to make it happen this year. So what took its place? Was it the passion's gone? No, I love doing that.
Mhm.
So what, was I exhausted? Was I too tired? Like what happened there? And I remember very vividly how much I loved the game of golf in my 30s. And when I started teaching it, and that was fun too, being able to teach it and have lessons. And I was doing online lessons. I was going to places and doing lessons multiple times a month. There, I was doing daily online swing reviews through a company. I got to a point where like the last thing I wanted to do was go play golf myself.
Right.
I was doing it for everyone else. And like none of the passion that was there in the beginning was there. And I always remember that lesson of like, I still love golf and I still love playing, but I don't practice anymore. I don't like I can't indulge in it like I used to for lots of reasons, but it's just that shift was that sort of like you get to a point where the hobby, the passion becomes like teaching or podcasting or doing all these other things for different clients, and you don't have the time or the enthusiasm to then go take photos of seagulls down by the water.
Mhm.
And it's okay, but it depends if you're then enjoying it. Is the passion of teaching golf the same as playing? Does that fill that cup in the same way? Does the passion of doing product photography for someone that doesn't respect your work or doesn't love it, or it's really hard and difficult, it doesn't pay well, it takes up tons of your hours, is that worth not being able to go down to the beach for free and take photos? It's all it's all that balance game that we talk about. And I think
Mhm.
2025, if there's anything I'm going to do, is try to really balance the good from the needed, the essential, all that.
Yeah, I think what you and I are talking about in the same way is being ruthless with cutting out noise.
Yeah.
Like cut the noise. Identify the noise. What is essentially useless and crap that's taking up space in my brain, and just unapologetically get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'm keeping that concept close to me moving forward throughout the year, and it shows itself in it can show itself in plenty of ways. I mean, I'm even we talk about this a lot, the criteria for unfollowing people. I think following 1,000 people is insane. You want to talk about noise? I mean, to each their own, but you want to talk about noise? 1,000 people. And in the past, I've had my criteria, and this isn't to make me sound. I'm not trying to sound righteous or better than other people, but I'm just like, I've been going back through my following and thinking, in what way does this serve me? Is this noise? Do I care about? I'm not. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to feel sorry about it. Do I care about this person's life?
Yeah. That's fine.
No, and then
There's,
gone. Even like friends that from high school that I was really close with, where I'm clicking on follow is like, "Ugh, I feel so bad about this.
mm,
Why? It's not
yeah.
essential. It's noise. Your dog's cute. Every single photo of it, though, is just taking up space for maybe less people that are more important to me in my life. You, Haley, other people. There's only so much brain power that can go around. And I think I'm trying to go in with precision and just get rid of stuff that's not essential everywhere.
Yeah. Everywhere. The the house, why do I have still sneakers from college?
I don't
You
know.
know? It's like those things where I think that whole attachment part to lots of things. Why is it hard to unfollow someone that you've never, like, you barely talk to?
I think because you have to let go of a past life, and it's a construct of who you were, or maybe somebody who you. It's the art of letting go of yourself, which can be very difficult, especially if you're someone who's very sentimental. But I try to keep in mind. I think it's in meditations, the Marcus or the theme in meditations by Marcus Aurelius is that every second, everything we've just said in the past 30 minutes behind us, it's dead.
Mhm.
Right? It's your past life is dead. From now on, you're reborn every second.
Yeah.
You know, is the best way I can kind of explain it, and that to me makes total sense in aiding you in this concept of executing it. I should look up the actual quote.
Yeah, and it's it also could be people pleasing. Like, oh, that person's been they've liked my photos in the past. They've been supportive. Maybe they'll notice if it could be a lot of that too. We used to talk. Seems harsh to unfollow them.
Yeah,
Maybe I will wear that sweater that I haven't worn in 3 years.
right.
Maybe.
Here it is. I found the quote.
Hit me.
Marcus Aurelius. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's the same with like turning healthy, getting healthy, exercising.
Right.
To say like, oh,
I've been
I had
overweight my whole life. I've been unhealthy my whole life.
or
That
even to
part of you is
today,
dead.
I had a pizza for lunch. Like, what's the point? Might as well just have
Right.
the rest of it for dinner
That
versus
part of you
saying
is
like,
dead.
yeah, like make your next decision your best decision.
Right. And I
That
think
sort
that
of
ties in
thing.
what we're talking about.
Yeah. S- So yeah, bringing it back to photography and life. And that's what this show's about. If
Mhm.
you're a first time listener, uh, recalibrating and reassessing. It's been a while. It's been a while. We've done a lot of stuff. We've grown. We've pivoted. We've taken on new responsibilities, new things, new avenues in this whole career. 5 years ago, there's no thought in my mind. We've been doing a podcast for 251 episodes, me for a little bit less, but that's not even a thought in my mind. And here we are. And
Mhm.
it sometimes you have to sub out of your own life, I feel like, and just audit it and say, whoa, where am I? Because it gets away. Like, where am I putting my energy? Where am I putting all my time? Where am I putting my assets? And sometimes you have to step out and pause. And that's kind of what this break was. It was really nice to not be traveling, not really doing much of anything, just
Mhm.
kind of doing what I wanted to do day by day and not have any projects on my head, over my head, not having any editing I needed to do. It was nice to just sort of observe
Yeah. I think it's
how,
important to have free time to just think and ponder. We do so much. A
Mhm.
lot of folks do so much to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone out there is probably grinding in certain ways. And I think there's a great, I have it right here. I'm going to mess up my camera. Uh, Shoot, I got to take it.
I don't know what you are reaching for.
No, it's not even that. I just ruined everything. Um,
Did you? Fix your camera.
I didn't ruin it, but there is a self journal that's broken down into 3-month intervals.
Mm.
Um, and I like that. I like the length of that sort of goal. Do something for 3 months, 4 months, 2 months, 1 month. Really, really put your all into it and then assess where you're at. Assess the feelings you've had after it, the thoughts, the emotions towards it.
Yeah.
I found it. Self journal.
Cool.
So, for example, just gives you weekly milestones. So, what is most important this week,
Yeah. Essential.
each day? Habit and activity, any goals? What is the happiest thing that happened this week? What were your 3 big wins for the week? Review your goal and assess your progress. How did you spend your time this week? How will you improve next week? What was the biggest lesson you learned this week? And then it goes to week 2. You just keep on going through it. And then at
Mm.
the end, it gives like a whole thing.
Yeah. I want to go way back to the start of our. You're not affiliated with this at all, just so people know, right?
No, not at all. It's you can get a pack of them. I got a bunch years ago. They're called self journals.
Yeah. I guess something like that is a tool to. I think what can be the most difficult part of trying to implement a change or institute a new principle is cueing in that you need to do those things, right? It's hard to know what you don't know, right? So almost the cue is often the most difficult part.
Yeah, it's why most people, I shouldn't say most necessarily, but a lot of people only change when they hit rock bottom in any sort of scenario, or like something bad happens, or there is a wake up call, a 2x4 to the head. That's like, you got to make some changes. This is not working,
Right.
So because when you're in it, it is very hard to see this is not, this is not really me. Sometimes you need space. You need time to be able to look back and be like, oh wow, it's kind of like, think about to your middle school style, your eighth grade
Oh, sure.
yearbooks, and the way we styled our hair and what we thought was cool.
What was
And
cool for you in eighth grade? I want to know, and I'll tell you what was cool for me.
in eighth grade, I'll just give middle school overall. I don't remember exactly eighth grade, but uh, at one point in middle school, fifth or sixth grade, people were tapering their jeans. They were folding them over in that way and then rolling them twice. So they were
Okay.
really tight to the ankle. That was cool. Skid pants were cool, which were like the MC Hammer pants. That
Parachute
was cool.
pants.
Yeah, parachute pants.
Jeez.
Tips, like frosted
I
tips.
had those at age 10 and 11. I had frosted tips. I had highlights.
Yeah, that
They
got
put the
cool.
cap on, and then they poke your hair through the thing, and then they dye it and kill all your hair cells.
Yeah.
You walk around like Chad Kroger from Nickelback. Wow, we really take tons of turns on this show. Holy
Yeah, me too. Tie dyes. That was cool.
Okay.
Um,
I
oh,
was gonna make an ageist joke. I was gonna say, is that 'cause, you were at
yeah,
Woodstock?
yeah. I wish. Uh, at one point, the double polo
What?
and 2 polos collared.
Double polo?
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Come on.
Yep,
That's insane.
that's insanity right
It is.
there. 2 different colors popped.
That's mental.
Are you seeing it? Is it
Yeah,
a
I'm on
thing?
Google Images. Double
Yeah,
polo.
yeah, it's a thing.
Whew.
I'm gonna bring it back.
Jeez, please
Alaska
do.
2025. I'm bringing back
Please do.
double polo.
Yeah, wow. For me, it was, the Hollister, Abercrombie Fitch,
Yeah,
the plaid shorts that were basically capris.
yeah, yeah. Those were, yes.
Everybody with the iPod minis, iPod Nano
Oh,
was a big
classic,
one. Held 2 gigabytes of songs, kind of a big
classic.
deal.
Kind of a big deal.
MSN Messenger. Oh, what it was like which is like AOL, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh, like curly long hair. Bass
cabbage.
Pro hats. Do you know what Bass Pro is? Like
Yeah,
Cabela.
that's big now
It's
with the
come
middle school
back.
kids. Yep.
Come back. The Cabela's Bass Pro hat.
That's interesting. I never knew that was a thing, and I thought it came out of nowhere,
Oh,
and I was
I'll
like,
find
I
you
don't
some photos.
it's
I
like, I
had a
don't
Bass
get.
Pro hat collection. I had all the colors.
Wow. So maybe it drifted down from Canada. like
Maybe
blew
it's
down.
delayed.
It's
You know how, like,
delayed.
other countries get American
Yeah,
movies 2
yeah,
decades later?
yeah,
Maybe we dropped our drip down to you,
yeah, wow. You guys started it.
posers.
Hmm.
That was wearing Bass Pro hats well into high school. That's
It's
so
such a
funny.
weird it's such a weird, advertisement or like a choice. Why
It's like a
why
flex.
why?
I don't know, I guess wanna
It
pose
could
being a fisherman, an angler?
y
I don't know.
yeah. Is that it? Is that the you
I don't
shop
know. I
there?
think more than anything, kids tons of it's like, any trend. It's like any trend. It gets momentum and people are like, "I want on."
Yeah, like the Stanley Cups now
Yeah.
and the
It starts with a few people who don't care what others think. They make a statement. The confidence, they exude confidence.
yeah,
It gets picked up. It's creative, it's unique, and other people say, "I wanna be like that."
mhm,
A couple famous people start doing it. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's unique and new and trendy," and then everyone hops on, and then there's a counterculture. That's just the story of life and
yeah,
social media and everything, you
yeah,
know?
yep, yep,
To end our show, I want to rewind back to something at the start, like way at the start, where
way
you
back.
said you would post, because I struggle with this sometimes. You would post things for the wrong reasons. I kind of want to maybe know, if you're comfortable, what some of those wrong reasons were and how you know the difference, or how you figured out the difference between posting for the right reasons versus the wrong reasons. And I say that I struggle with this because every time, I think I mentioned, I go to click post, I just feel gross because I don't like, and maybe people can write in. Maybe I'm looking at this the whole wrong way, but a lot of the time I struggle with the idea that softly, because every post is a soft brag. Look at how artistic I am. Look at what I'm doing, which is fine. I struggle with the me, 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 me. I'm not suggesting that everybody who's posting before they come and grill me, that when you press post, it's me, 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 me. But if we're being honest, we're sharing things because we want a little bit of that. We must. We
Yeah,
must, otherwise you'd keep it to yourself.
you,
And I
you
struggle with that. I think I'm maybe incorrectly labeling that, I'm giving myself therapy here, labeling that as a bad thing. Is being egotistical in any regard a bad thing?
no, it's not. But you are.
No?
I think you're correct in your assessment, and I think people can come and torch me
Okay,
because
torch Aaron, you heard it. Not me.
I, I don't really care that
We'll get
much.
torched one day,
One
publicly.
day, if we've made it, we will get torched. Uh,
Yeah.
100%, it is about me and external validation.
It has to be, right?
Yes, because the proof in the pudding is everyone that says, everyone that's thought, oh, this algorithm sucks. Oh, I'm not getting the likes that I used to. Let's find a Vero app or let's go on to
Right.
Twitter. It's a great community over there. What you're running to is more attention, better attention.
So you think are we just talking socials? Because people listening could say, well, why do you guys publish episodes? And
Yeah, no, I would say you're correct.
but it's
You're
not
correct.
all for external validation. I love it when people are like, great episode. That was helpful. Of course, that feels good. But just to defend some creators,
No,
that
they're
that exists. But I think there's also there's also a lot where it's, I want to help, or I
sure,
want to, yeah.
or they're consuming us.
What do you
But
mean?
if we're 250 episodes in, and you're coming to me and you're saying, dude, like I think one person listened this week, and it was probably me because I pressed play on it.
It's
At
a true
some
story.
point, at some at some point, I'd be like, hey, this is okay. This is fun. Like I enjoy it, but like we've done it for 4 years and
Yeah, you're there to get out. You're there. Yeah.
not one person's listening. So it's not just for
Well, then you start thinking, okay, well, maybe the advice we're giving is bad. Maybe you start queuing in on, maybe I'm not helpful. Maybe I'm not as funny as I thought I was. And maybe that inspires you to go in a different direction and improve upon the skill you're trying to improve.
I think it's a good thing to have this. I don't think external validation is terrible. I think it promotes, oh, I want to do better. Oh, I want to post this picture. Oh, I want to take the time to edit this photo where I normally would just be watching TV. I want to learn this song because I'm going to be playing it in front of people at a restaurant. Like all of that stuff has to do with entertaining people and being a center of attention in some sort of way, or me, I, and finding our place in this world, sort of like an existential crisis sort of thing. We can get super deep here, but I think deep down, like the social media part of it is 100%, like you said, is doing it for a, a lot of that sort of look how cool I am.
Mm.
And
So
that's okay. I don't hate it, but I just
what do
think
you,
it can get out of hand and you can lose yourself. You can lose like this is not what I really want to be doing, but I'm addicted to this thing. I'm addicted to this like
or the idea that,
process, the idea of it. It's like we're all when I say this from a humble place as I'm on a podcast with another guy and we're promoting our own stuff. I totally get the irony in the whole thing. And I'm admitting that it is part of it. It's cool and feels good to say, yeah, I have a photography podcast about photography and we go on trips. We host trips yearly. It feels good.
I think it also feels good though, because you've also earned it.
Or earned it or not, it feels good. Like it, I mean, that whole part of it
Yeah.
feels good. People writing in, people saying, you know, seeing growth, seeing trends, people saying we want to sponsor with you, like anything like that feels great. External validation is not awful. It's
Right.
not
Oh,
terrible.
you're right.
But if that's the reason, we've had this
Right.
hypothetical question. If social media didn't exist, would you still be a photographer?
Yeah. Of course.
The amount of photos that are edited would decline by throwing a random number out there, but what I feel in my gut, 80%.
Yeah. We need a producer in the other room. We go, can you run those numbers? Can you
Can you
actually
run
check
those
that?
numbers? Check how many photos come out on Instagram a day,
So
and then
to finish up, what's the, so for people who have, or maybe on the spectrum, have a very low desire for any kind of external validation, just based on their personality and who they are, and they struggle with, okay, but it's also helpful for other people if you share your content. Maybe it inspires them. Maybe people like animals. Speaking for a friend here, of course.
yeah,
What's the recipe? Is the recipe stay off, platforms? Is the recipe don't show anyone your work? What is it for people who are, it's just there's not a high desire to reach for what you just described, external validation. And again, that's not, to your point, doesn't seem like that's a bad thing, right? Based on your arguments. What's the move? What's the move? Like oops, I said I was speaking for a friend. I have so many photos and videos of cool experiences, and I almost feel like there's this need, or like you even owe it maybe to people who can't have those experiences. Like, you're just gonna sit on those? Are you crazy? I'm well within my rights too. I'm fulfilled shooting and filming. We've mentioned that before. And talking about, back to our conversation about essentialism, when I ask myself, do I want to post this on social media? Remember my criteria for doing things moving forward within reason was going to be hell yeah, or it's a no. It's not a hell yeah.
yeah.
Not even close. Not even close on the list of things I want to do in a day. So if I follow that rule every single day, is it a hell yeah? If it's not, then it's a full blown no. I will never post again
Yeah.
unless I can find an emotionally compelling reason to do so. And I struggle to because I feel like the need for the external validation is very low. And I'm not trying to sound righteous. That's just me being honest.
Yeah. And I think everyone will get there in time because it's not a true reflection of your essence. I really think that. I don't think you know the people that you follow that and or yourself. If you look at yourself through a timeline of and the people that you follow that like, oh, they're really in it. Man, they are posting 20 stories a day, multiple posts a day, reels. The time that goes into that must be enormous.
Mhm.
We've all
Has to
seen
be.
it. We've all been there in certain stages and different levels, but we've all been there where it's like, well, I'm full tilt on sharing my work.
Yeah.
Again, that's okay. But I think in time you start to realize like that's not what I want to be doing. That's not the answer to the some I think some emptiness in my cup. Something. And again, not in a bad way. And we all have emptiness in our cups, but we try to fill them in certain ways where the true answer, cliche or not, is like within our own acceptance of who we are. Now, I think hard work comes from a lot of different uh, flashpoints. Could be a trauma can turn into an amazing art. Uh, a tough childhood can turn into amazing art. A breakup can turn into a award-winning album of sad songs. Like a lot of things can come from refilling that cup.
Mhm.
I think it's amazing. But I think there is definitely a difference. I just saw a post from an artist. You might have seen it online because his marketing and his online is really it's neat. But the question is the art that special? I guess that's to be judged. And there's a whole conversation here. This is a whole different podcast, but we've probably seen the gentleman who swings a bucket across a canvas with holes in it, and the paint kind of swirls out and makes a design on a big black canvas. He destroys his room. There's paint everywhere, but the pattern of the swinging pendulum creates a design. And I think like an art major and an art teacher professor could argue like he's not a master of the canvas. Literally anyone could probably swing this thing over this and come up with some cool designs, but he is a master of the art of marketing his art,
Which is a
which
different thing, which is fine,
which
but it's a
which
different
is
thing.
a different thing and a different skill. And I think that's what we all have to diffuse of like
Like, which of those are we doing right now?
what are we doing? And
Yes.
let's not kid ourselves with uh I'm a wildlife photographer, but all I do is do videos that promote me. That's that's
Right.
not they're not aligning. They're not and it
Which is
reminds me
fine,
of
but I think you're suggesting people do that so that they can be at more at ease in their own head.
yeah, I don't think it's going to last for those influencers, those
Well,
social media
I'm just saying I
users.
don't care if people go and do that. You do whatever you want. I really don't care.
Yeah.
I think the advice here though is kind of get aligned with or cue into what you are doing in that instance. Otherwise, there's going to be like a dissonance and you're going to be
Yes.
at unease and frustrated. And what the hell am I doing? And what's the point
Yeah,
if
and
you can't?
it's gonna
Yeah.
change and fade and move, and you're gonna have to pivot because it's not gonna feel right.
Right.
There's this artist, Coulter Wall. He's a country singer. I'm
Perfect.
not I'm not a huge country fan, but I am a huge fan of Coulter Wall, and here is why. Coulter Wall is exactly, seemingly, could be
He's Canadian.
Yep.
From Swift
Lives
Current, Saskatchewan.
lives up
Represent.
near where we were. He is a rancher. He is living the life. He comes out with songs. I think they're wonderful. They're very true. They're about wrangling cows and doing what he's doing. He has a deep, deep voice for a young guy. It sounds like a new Johnny Cash. Joe Rogan spoke highly of him on the show and wanted him on the show. His answer straight up was, and that's a life-changing invitation, right? To be on the Joe Rogan show is a life-changing invitation when you're basically a nobody at that point. He was in a commercial or a TV series. He had one song and it kind of took off a bit. He's still not big because of answers like this. He said, no, like I have a ton of ranching to do.
Yeah, I just read that. He turned down a Joe Rogan appearance that he could do because he had ranching commitments.
Yeah.
True Canadian prairie boy right there.
Right there. And
that's your point.
That's like, he is real and legit, and yet his stock is still rising.
And he's an incredibly talented person. And it hits on all the points we've said today where it's, nope, don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. And I think I think the more you honestly say no to stuff like that, the more people respect you. And in this case, it seems so. It's almost like turning Rogan down would make you more popular in this instance because you're 100% being honest and true to who you are.
Yeah. And I think audiences, so everyone that you're trying to show your work to, if anything, has a tremendous bullshit reader. We all do, whether we can pinpoint it or not. Like, we're all pretty good at being like, this is forced or fake or pushed or whatever. And just, I don't know. I think a lot of things, obviously. That's why I'm here. I'm the I'm the chatter with you. That's my job. I chat. But I do, to recap my thoughts, I think here is external validation is, I think, needed, a part of life. I don't expect everyone to be a monk, silent in a cave and not needing anything from the world and being completely happy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the answer. I do think you said it beautifully that when you're out of alignment, where there's disease, right? Like it's out of ease.
Yeah.
That's where it starts to eat away at you, or it just doesn't last. It doesn't go the distance because it's not genuine.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing too much of the other stuff, not the stuff that you really fell in love with.
Amen to that, man. Till next time, let's end it right on that. And
take care.
And look out for that Alaska 2025.
Yeah, you can spend car rides listening to me talk about philosophy, and
we actually take a step back from all this on those. It's almost like
it's true. We don't
direction. So don't worry about.
We're not going to
pontificate upon thoughts.
It's very true. It's very true. We're just so blown away by I think the entire atmosphere of those trips. So
that's right. So be on the lookout for that January 13th. Till next time.
Take care.